Well, it's a breezy one today. I gotta build some sawhorses. For one, my old ones were old and they were so rotten I just threw them in a burn pile. And I kind of need some around, and I have a bunch of metal on my truck that I need to unload. That would be a lot easier with some rugged sawhorses. So check out what method I use to build these. Good sawhorses should be able to hold hundreds of pounds, in my opinion. I like to stack lumber on them with the tractor, so whole lifts of lumber. Well, not like from the lumber yard like a lift, but like a bundle of lumber should be able to stack on those. Anyway, I'm gonna just use some odd 2x4s that I've got around, ones that I kind of screwed up that are different thicknesses and not quite parallel. Just using basic tools. The only not basic tool is a chop saw, but I think at this point, probably most people have one of these if you're doing any sort of woodworking. But if not, you can use just a skill saw too. In my opinion, there's nothing worse than sawhorses that are too short, and a lot of times the ones that you buy will be about table height like this. For me, that isn't good because a lot of times you're cutting and sanding and painting, and I don't want to be hunched over. So what I like to do is shoot for belt line height, which on me, 39, we'll go 40. I think 40 will be perfect. This good old folding table has been my workbench for a while here. It's time to get some sawhorses again. I've got a whole lot of lumber to cut coming up. Another thing I want to do too is I want to make them 4 feet wide. That way if you're cutting plywood on here, you have the full width. I should probably square some of these up first. Sure is windy today. Little microphone's gonna be solid full of sawdust. All right, I'm gonna go 4 feet. These are gonna be stackable too. There's a couple of key things you gotta do to make them stackable. I'm gonna build a T out of 2x4s. So I need 4 chunks. Need 4 of them 4 feet long. That one's thick. Oh my God, that one's even thicker. What was I doing when I cut these? It's all right, I'll make a nice strong top piece for these. Goodness, that thing's, yeah, 2 1/4. You can see they're pretty wet inside still. I cut these in the fall. You can obviously customize these to whatever width and height you like. That's the beauty of building your own. You can even build them out of something nice. All right, so there's my top cords. I'll just assemble these real quick. Kind of have way more stuff on my table than I need here, but I have a limited number of screws. This is a good thing to have too if you're putting screws into wood, just a countersink bit. And if you can swing it, a drill and a driver is the way to go. Saves you from switching back and forth. So what I'm gonna do here is one of these is gonna be an upright and one's gonna sit directly on top, centered. I'm just gonna eyeball them. Doesn't need to be anything super fancy. That looks good enough for me. Another thing that's good about doing this, get your screws countersunk down in. There's less of a risk of hitting them with your saw when you're cutting. This battery ain't much. Yeah. Yeah, let me go get a battery. This is like clogged. Just gonna eyeball that on that end. I'm just gonna put one more in the middle, and I think that's all I really need for this top. All right, do that again. All right, so the trickiest part on these is the legs, because it's gonna have a compound angle at the top. You kind of have to have that compound angle to make it, to make them nest to stack. This really is an odd one. I'm gonna just not use that. So I said I wanted 40 inches overall. Some people will just put this on here like this with a bottom web, and then they can screw right into it. I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna cut this to match this, and I'm gonna splay this out, and I'm gonna have bottom supports and side supports. I want these to be super strong. So what I need to figure out now is what I want this angle to be. Probably gonna want it to be at the bottom, maybe 30 inches wide. I don't know, that might be a bit much. Let's see if I can mock it up here a little bit. That's a little higher than hip height. No, actually, that's about where I measured. Yeah, maybe I do. I wanted about 24 inches, a 24-inch wide footprint, I would say. That would be about approximately 12 inches from the center. I'm just gonna eyeball it, something like that. Just trying to get in the ballpark without, you know, going all nuts and making a CAD drawing or something. That's looking about 75 degrees. It's hard to measure these long angles because your speed square runs off the end, so you can't quite get it. But if you put it up against something else straight, you can pull it back. Now I can read it. Now, if I want to cut this on the chop saw, I have to hold it perpendicular and cut this at 15. Because 90 minus 75 is 15. So I got this set at 15. This is a tricky cut. You want to be careful. You want to be aware of what forces are at play here. I'm not actually even going to cut it on my line. I just want it close. This is dumb. So I think on this one I'm gonna just go for the middle. So first thing I'm gonna do is cut 15 on here, or I'm gonna cut the, I want this to end up in about the middle. I want to cut this one first, and then I want to square this one off to this so that it nests right up into that 2x4. It would make a lot more sense for me to have a different backstop. Not that big though. That's more like it. Side project. All right, I've built this little holder. It'll help keep my piece square and keep it from kicking through there. Now I need to go back to 15. if you wanted to, if you had a fence, I don't know where mine is. This saw was given to me without it. You could clamp this to it so this can't move, and you can make them all exact. I'm just gonna make a mark on mine where it should be. You kind of almost need to be an octopus to do this. If you could have somebody help you, it would be great. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna do that 3 more times. Actually, I should probably test this one first. I'm just gonna cut this at 15 now. That isn't very square. All right, so this is what we ended up with. See how that sits in there? There's one more thing I want to do to make this better. We're going to clock it this way. Doesn't have to be a lot. Probably 5 or 6 degrees. This is where having a compound bevel saw really makes a huge difference. I'm going to start with 8 degrees on that. And then I'm going to come in at 15 on this part. We'll see what that gets us. I think I just cut that the wrong way. It's all right. It'll be for this side now. There. See, that's nice. Goodness, this wind. Freaking kidding me? Can't get a break from the weather. I guess if I wasn't an amateur, I would have angled this too, but I didn't know what I was doing here. I could make it a little bit shorter and pretend like I knew what I was doing. So let me finalize this first. When you cut at an angle like that, you gotta cut that same compound angle on the bottom. Should be like this. Yeah, that's nice. So what did this length end up being? It's too long, for one. I'm going to stick a screw in that and just see what it feels like. I think that looks nice and tidy. It's a little tall. That's what I was having a hard time figuring out. Now that I know how tall it is, I can cut, I want to cut about probably 2 inches off. I'm sure there's a bunch of high-powered math you could do to figure this stuff out. I'm okay with a little trial and error. It's more like it, but it still seems a little high. What are we at here for length? That falls within the parameters of what I said initially, so I need to make more of these. Let's see. There'll be 8 legs altogether. I need 3 more just like this and 3 more opposite. If I can get all those cut without screwing them up, it'll be a miracle. They need to be roughly 41 inches. Got my saw set back to 0. I'm just gonna rough out a bunch of these. 41, 82. Ooh, can I get 3 out of 1? That would be really nice. I can. I don't know if you can hear those birds. But that's a nice sound to hear. So 15 here. I'm just gonna eyeball this in the middle. That was not it. Middle-ish. That's a bit of a big crack there. Rather than changing my saw to make this one cut, I'll use my skill saw on this one. Trying hard to not blow a breaker here. So I can get rid of this now. Now I need to trim the tops of all of those. I'm gonna use the one that we finished cutting, and I'm gonna move this back. I need a little support. I'm gonna use the one that we already cut to set up our saw. So since we have a compound bevel miter saw here, I'm just gonna change this over to 10. Or what did I make that? 8? Looks like 8. And then 15 this way. And then I'm just gonna confirm that by looking at it. It's good enough. Now I need to cut 3 more like this, and then I need to do the opposite for the other side. There's those. Now, all we need to change here is this angle. We'll go 8 the other way. I gotta cut the compound on this end, on the bottom. And as long as it's the same as this angle, is perfect. So what I've actually got the first one I cut, my template. Since this is set up for the other side, I'm gonna go ahead and do all of those. So just to confirm, no, that's not right. It used to be like this. So as far as getting these all the same, well, within reason, I'm gonna measure from this long point each time to here, and that's 38, and we'll call it a half. If you're gonna be using these on a nice flat floor, you can kind of adjust them. This will probably spend most of its life on dirt, so I'm just gonna go 38 and a half. Wait, that's not right either. What the I better cut these ones first. Okay, so I have my template loaded up here. Just want to make sure that I've got all the same angles. I'm gonna cut those other 3 that match this one first. So I got the 15-degree angle here, and I've got the 8-degree angle here. And then I know my length is 38 and a half. Am I stupid? Yes. Okay, so I have my template here. I just want to make sure that the other end has this same angle, this compound angle. So this is 8 and this is 15. And that's the one that I cut previously. And so that's going to be, that looks good. That looks right. So now I'll get the next 3 that need to be just like that one. 38 and a half from this long point. You could mass produce these if you wanted to set up some jigs or some stops. Okay, so that's those four. Now what I need to do is cut the opposite. So I've got this guy loaded up. See how these are opposite? Now I need to do the do like this, but keep this angle is going to stay the same. What I'm going to want to do is switch my saw around just as far as like use goes. So I will have to change it. Okay, since we're going to cut the other two pairs of legs, I'm going to flip these over. I've got the two opposite sides nested up to each other. The angle is going to be opposite. So I'm just going to mark these just for sanity's sake. I do need to precision measure, so I'll get my saw changed around. So 8 this way, 15 this way. If you don't have a dual compound, just a regular compound, you can probably just rig it around until it's right. This just hurts my brain a lot less. So 38.5, that was good off of that. I'm just looking back, make sure that this makes sense. It does. These legs are the hardest part. All right, that's the legs. You can start doing some sort of assembly now. All right, so that's all that half. These are all the other side. I really hope I didn't screw this up. I'm gonna use some of these short screws to just get them in there. This is the one that I initially started with. Yeah, a box of screws isn't long for this world. And I'm going to line mine up so that I'm really tempted to go right out to the edge. I want maximum. I'm going to line it up right here. I want to make sure I've got enough surface area for screwing. I went right back into the same hole. No, this is not best. Let me get a long one in. Look who didn't even bother countersinking. I'm not gonna have enough screws, I don't think. And the secret is I really only need one of these today. So if I don't get the other one done, it's not a huge crime. So let's get the other side. Get some screws countersunk. Things like screws are so expensive now. Things like everything are so expensive now. So what I'm gonna do to keep it consistent is make this measurement the same, which it's about 9/16. Little pencil mark. That wasn't very tight. I didn't like it. It's from the way this is sitting. I need to get this out of here. There's just no space for anything. That's better. These are going to be heavy. I've built these in the past and used Gorilla Glue on all the joints. Don't know if that made a difference or not. We thought it did, but they still rotted just the same. They never broke. So maybe them never breaking, that was key. Maybe I should be using Gorilla Glue. Well, the good thing is if you use screws, you can take it apart and add it. I probably won't. Gorilla Glue is pretty awesome stuff, but it makes a friggin' mess. These aren't for a magazine cover or anything either. These are strictly for work. They're gonna be used. You could probably make these out of teak if you wanted to, I guess. Depending on your application, this could be done for you right here. It is high, I have to say. I might go back through and trim these off, but you can't make them longer. So I'll probably use them like this for a little bit. And then if I feel the need, I'll just set up the skill saw and buzz the feet off. But that's pretty stout sawhorse on its own right there. And that doesn't even have as many screws in it as I would like. So the other one's gonna be the exact same as this. I guess I'm not done yet. I'm gonna add some more stuff to make it stronger. I want the legs to not be able to splay out because I'm planning on putting hundreds of pounds on these. So let's take a look at what that would look like real quick. So I've got some 1x4s here that I cut. I'm gonna use those for the bottom webbing. It's also nice too to have another layer down here, so like if you're painting or something, you can put other boards across if you're just waiting for them to dry. So what I'm gonna do now is just measure down from the top to where I want that. 2 feet looks like a nice round number. So I'll mark that all the way around, right from this point. The other thing, what the angling allows is nesting. If you make it straight in and put something on this outside edge, they won't go together. But if you angle it, they will. Another way to get around that, if you want to just build them straight on, is if you're going to do webbing on the bottom, do your outside ones on the inside instead on one set, and then you can do them on the outside on the other set. But then they won't be universally stackable. One will always be the bottom and one will always be the top. I'm trying to make two that are exactly the same. My last set too, I also thought it'd be a good idea to build a shelf down here. Don't do it, because it's gonna be piled full of crap. And then you're gonna need to move these and you have to take all the stuff off or have somebody help you move it with all the stuff on there. It's just a bad idea. It's looking like about 53 for me. And they are some heavy. I'm gonna do that 8-degree angle on the ends. If you wanted to, you could miter the ends too so that they matched up all the way around. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna cut them square. This is a good use of this too. This isn't even the right thickness. It's kind of too thin. This needs to go this way. My next one's gonna be like this. Rather than change the blade now, I've got plenty of length here. I'm gonna come over too far. Cut that. Now I can cut this to where I want it. And the same with this. 53 to the short point. It's a touch long. Get a couple countersinks in these. Doing this will help prevent your end pieces from cracking. Some lumber it doesn't matter, but on hemlock it really likes to crack, especially if it's dry or seasoned. This just makes it a little nicer in my opinion. I'm just gonna flush it up. It's gonna be long over there. I'm gonna actually expand this a little bit, and it's gonna be short on the other side, and I'll pull it in. I decided on a measurement that was about in between each side. It doesn't take a lot to move it. Yeah, that's about 35 pounds probably. It'll get lighter as the lumber dries out more. That was the other negative of having a shelf on one. It made it heavier, and nobody really needs that, especially when you're already worked a full day and last thing you need is more gravity. That's perfect. So now we just gotta put something across the ends. So I'll get a rough measurement, looking like 19 7/8. What do we got over here? 20. That's 15 degrees on each end. So what I'll do is I'll go 20 inches, long point to long point, 15 on both sides. Got my work cut out for me edited in this one. Holy cow. Babbling like the village idiot. So 15. Now I wanted 20 long point to long point. So I'm actually gonna go past. I'm gonna go to 21. Not super necessary to go that far past. There's a giant knot in that. Let's get rid of that. Go 20 again. I'm gonna keep doing this until I have 4 of these because I'm gonna need it for the other set. All right, that's 4 of those. Now we'll switch it to the other side. I'm gonna mark them all right now. 20, 20, 20, 20. Again, I'm not lining these up like I'm building cabinets or something. It's all just rough construction. I'm sure some of you that are carpenters are saying, yeah, it is. Real rough. Just gonna blow a couple holes in there. The wind just needs to stop, but it won't, not ever. Oh, hey, you probably want to see that. Repeat on this side, and that's it. And that's it for my short screws. I'm sure Home Depot loves to hear me coming. I should probably get them on Amazon. I'm just gonna squeeze that in there. And that's it, they're done. Obviously in my case, I need to add some more screws. But I like this design. You put something heavy on here, it pushes down on these. It's not relying on this connection for the screws. But what this does is give this a good place to bite into, and it makes the center of this so solid. You can park a car on that. I'll bring you back when you can see it in action here in a little bit. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is bring the forks from the tractor up under, get a nice C-clamp on there, pull this out until it's enough so that I can get it in the middle. I'm going to take my newly minted sawhorse here and place that under the end. I guess I got to get it untied first. This wind could go away. That'd be awesome. Hoping I can just use this clamp to drag this out of here. This left side, your right, will be heavier too. There. Simple. Well, that worked out pretty well. Minimal human labor was the goal. This guy didn't even flinch. So now there's two. Don't mind the grinding sound in the background. Let's see if I can stack them. It's tight, but yes. So there we go. I still need to add some screws. Oh, they're heavy.